Hey guys, I'm Christine, and I have my friend Sarah, who is a therapist at Prospect Therapy in Long Beach, with me today. We're just going over some commonly asked questions. Sarah, you said you had a lot of people inquiring about therapy for the first time since this coronavirus pandemic. What are some of the most commonly asked questions?
They often have questions about what is online therapy like. They have questions about insurance and finances. I find that people really just want to feel connected to someone. Most frequently, by the time we finish our consultation, people have no questions. Most of the time, people just say, wow, you're really easy to talk to, and I didn't think this was going to be like this, so this was much easier.
I see. And you're from Afghanistan, your family. I'm from Korea. So I think in general, we may come from backgrounds where therapy could be more of a, what's that? That concept.
It's kind of like a white people thing. Like, we don't do that, our families don't do that, or it's for people who are very crazy, or people who are weak, or people who can't help themselves. So there is a lot of stigma around mental health care.
And how do you dispel people's fears or biases?
So one of the communities that we focus on is working with first generation American immigrant communities, like bicultural folks who may have kind of one foot in this community and one foot in mainstream American culture. And what those people and myself have experienced is they are born and raised or raised in America from a pretty young age. They're acculturating to mainstream American society at a much faster rate than their parents or their families are. So parents and families are acculturating also. We all have like the auntie who's like wearing Nikes and who's like likes American TV shows and things like that. So families are acculturating. It's just that the rate is much slower. And so that can cause tension between generations where some things they do line up on, some things they do agree on, but other things they don't. And both sides are kind of confused as to why that's happening. So the way we work with that, one thing is to just validate and understand where people are. And even just explaining that, sometimes people don't realize it. They say, my mom has a Facebook page, like she gets it. I don't know why she's not accepting about these other things. And when you remind people like, hey, this is much harder for people who spent most of their lives in another country or people who are new to this culture. The bottom line is they do love you and they do want what's best for you. Mm-hmm. You just need to let them catch up to you. And that can help our clients, kind of the younger generation, at the same time that you're kind of cutting your family some slack and saying, okay, I won't be so hard on them. It also helps empower you to say, okay, well, I don't necessarily need their approval for this part of my life. And it reduces the stress and conflict between the generations.
In our last video, you mentioned some tips on, how to manage anxiety and stress and, market, grocery store shopping. That was one of them. And I try not to go to the grocery stores because I get triggered. I don't know what it is. I think it's like, as a domestic violence survivor, a flight or, fright kind of a situation. And so I freak out. Is this normal?
Absolutely normal. For some people, knowing what to expect and looking on social media and looking at the pictures and the videos of what the grocery stores are like actually helps them to feel less anxious because then they kind of know what to expect when they get there. For other people, it makes their anxiety much, much more intense. Sometimes people don't realize which one of those groups they fall into. So paying attention to that, and then, the recommendation is just kind of act accordingly. If you find that your anxiety skyrockets, if your heart rate increases, if you feel on edge or tense, if you find yourself getting kind of irritable and short with people, that can also be a symptom of anxiety. And if you notice that gets worse, the more you expose yourself to news and information and media, then that might tell you to take a step back and limit how much you're doing that. But on the other hand, sometimes people really fear the unknown, or they feel kind of in the dark about things, and the more information that they get, it actually helps calm them down. And in that case, I would still say to kind of manage your time with it, but if it helps you kind of psych yourself up and say, okay, let me look at my neighborhood grocery store if I can, or let me ask my local neighbors or friends how it is. Even if they don't have great news, at least I know what to expect when I go there, and that can also help. It's really knowing kind of which group you fall into can help you decide how to handle it.
Do you have any tips on what I can do to reduce the anxiety and stress level at home if I feel that that's creeping up? I've tried everything from, painting my nails while listening to soothing music, to like taking a bath, to like whacking at weeds with my golf club and practicing golf in my backyard. So those were my like self-made remedies. You try, you fail, you try, you succeed. Do you have anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, those are great. I think a great suggestion is finding things that you already know that you like doing and trying to adapt them to your home environment. I also think it's unreasonable to expect people to be busy 24/7 and to be super productive and to take up a new hobby and to paint and learn a language and cooking gourmet meals every day. Like, that's unreasonable, and that's not really going to make you feel better. It might make some people feel better, but
Overachievers.
I don't want everyone to hold themselves to that standard. So that's just one thing I would make sure people are aware of. But two, I think for myself personally, this quarantine, this order is temporary, but I don't think that I fully realized, like, I was just kind of waiting for it to be over, and I was using kind of makeshift. I'm working from home, and so I sort of resisted setting up an official home office. I said, okay, I'm only going to do this for a few weeks. I don't need to put too much time and energy into this. And once I switched my thinking and said, hey, like, we're going to have to do things a little bit differently. If I were going to work at home, how would I set up my home office? And the truth is, I do really care about my environment. I do need a very comfortable chair. I do need all the equipment that I need, and I'm not going to just phone it in and kind of wait for it to be over. I'm going to treat this with the same respect as I do as if I'm going to my office every day. And that can apply for all kinds of things, like your diet or what food you're preparing for yourself, or even maybe how much alcohol you're consuming. Some people say, oh, like, this is just temporary, like, let's party every night. And then once you realize, like, oh, this is going to be for a while, you can switch your thinking into, okay, well, this is just an adjustment. So let me see what's sustainable for me, what is going to make me feel the best. And it may not make you feel the best if you're indulging in comfort food or drinking a lot of alcohol or something like that. It's the difference between treating it kind of like spring break and your actual semester. And so when you really buckle down and say, well, this is how it's going to be, let me make some adjustments rather than just doing whatever I feel like.
Another thing I've noticed while under quarantine was that there are days when I literally can't get out of bed. Or like I go down to my favorite corner spot in my living room couch and I can't get up. And then there are other days when I'm just like, I can't sit down. I need to go and like do something, anything. Is that normal to go through these fluctuations, where you're totally like a lazy rock one day and then the opposite?
Yeah, absolutely. Our routines are all changed. As much as we're keeping business as usual, our routines and our circumstances are changed. And when that happens, your body will change. Like, that's perfectly acceptable. And I don't want people to feel shame or that they have to restrict themselves or they have to behave any differently than they usually would. So I just want to make sure to put that out there. But two, when your routine changes, your energy level is going to change and your motivation is going to change. And by the way, we are all dealing with this pretty stressful experience. It's sort of like a low level, constantly there stress that's going to be on our bodies and our emotions. And when that happens, your body will get more tired than usual because it's constantly in a sort of reactive mode. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced this too. Every day we wake up and we're like, what is the new piece of information? What are the new numbers in the media? There's always something to react to, and that can take a toll on your body and on your emotions. So it definitely makes sense that people would be feeling more tired, but also because there's no specific end date, because there's so much unknown, sometimes people can have periods where they feel particularly hopeless or not super motivated, and that can also contribute to why sometimes you just can't or don't want to get off the couch. It's okay for that to happen sometimes, and not to put so much pressure on yourself to say, I should be doing something else. Your body does need rest, and it's part of the healing process. You will have periods where you're more productive and you're more motivated. Capitalize on those, and when you feel motivated to do something, definitely get up and do it, knowing that there may be other periods during the week or even later in the month that you don't feel that way, and those are okay too.
My therapist told me a few weeks ago that I have this tendency to catastrophize, which means that if something happens that's like something I didn't expect that's negative, then I blow it up into like, and it consumes my entire head. Is that a kind of a more normal thing now that, people are in these uncertain times?
It makes sense that would happen if you think about how we were even 6 months ago. Think about how much of your life was on autopilot, which is not necessarily a bad thing. What that means is it was consistent, there was routine, things were reliable, predictable, and you could spend your emotional energy on things that were really important to you, either really happy things, or if there was a stressful thing, you could kind of spring into action and focus on that because you didn't have to worry about the other stuff. And now we're in this place where, again, our routines are flipped upside down. Things are not predictable. Things are not routine or consistent. And so a lot more of our mental and emotional energy is spent just on the basics, on literally, am I going to go to the grocery store? Where is my next meal going to come from? How am I going to pay my bills? Some people are really struggling in those areas. But even folks who aren't, they're also still thinking about the day-to-day things. And so their capacity for anything beyond that is much smaller than usual. You won't have the capacity to tolerate any additional stress because our cup is filled up to 85-90% just dealing with day-to-day things. So there's much less room for something that's more stressful or taking up more of your time.
Do you have any tips on what to tell your mind to counter if you're aware that downward spiral is going to happen?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And what I often tell people is the best thing you can do is get your mind and your body in sync. You may have this experience where your mind is average, neutral, you're feeling fine, but your body is either very tense or very wiped out, like very exhausted. Your body's telling you something, but your mind isn't picking up on it. Or the other way around, where your body feels fine and you want to be able to maybe do your usual workouts or things like that, but your mind is just not into it and you just can't motivate yourself. And so one way to really kind of drop into your body is to do different grounding exercises. There are plenty of those that you can find online. You can read articles. There are YouTube videos where essentially what you're doing is, it's a mini meditation. You're quieting your mind and you're dropping into your body. You're feeling your feet on the floor. You're feeling your body be supported by the chair or the couch or the bed or whatever is supporting you. You take a couple deep breaths, and even just a few deep breaths, 10-15 seconds of doing that, you'll feel that it will release tension, your muscles will relax, your face and your jaw will relax, but also your mind will also become more present in the moment rather than being overwhelmed with different thoughts or kind of being hard on yourself or being depressed or unmotivated. And when you can put those two in sync, it'll become clear, do I need to rest right now, or can I actually get up and do the dishes or do some activity? And just putting those two together will really help people.
Did I hit on a lot of things that you typically hear from, your clients?
Yeah, you did. Sometimes those things come up in the first session, but sometimes it's not the first session. It's after we've been working together for a while. But everybody wants to know how to feel better. Everybody wants to know that they're doing it right. Everybody wants to know, is this normal what I'm feeling, and how can I address it? And that's going to be different for a lot of different people, but the basics are often the same, which is if you can get to the bottom of the issue and you can change either the way you're thinking about it or how your body is responding to it, that will help kind of shake things loose and you can move forward.
Awesome. Anything else you want to add or share for this video?
I'll just say that therapy is awesome. And even,
it really is.
I think anybody can benefit from therapy. You don't have to be in crisis. You don't have to have a huge fight with somebody. Wherever you're at, therapy will get you to the next step.
And why is now the best time, to start it if people are experiencing really any of the emotions that I've expressed to you?
Now is a great time to get into therapy. One, because you may have a little bit more flexible schedule. We'll just say that. But two, more therapists than ever are offering online sessions. And so the resources that are available are a little bit more than usual. But also, it's great to take this time that we're sheltering at home to rest and recharge or start a new hobby or work on an old hobby that you have. But if you could emerge from this with a better sense of yourself, an improved relationship, and actually emerge feeling better than you were before, that would be a great use of your time.
Well, thank you, Sarah, and I hope this helped. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.